I stood at Diego's grave on a Tuesday morning and felt nothing. The marble headstone was expensive, the best money could buy, engraved with loving tributes that made me want to laugh or scream, or both. Beloved husband, visionary leader, gone too soon. 3 lies for the price of 1 monument. The cemetery was empty except for me and the groundskeeper trimming hedges 50 yards away. I'd come alone, told everyone I needed private time to grieve. What I really needed was to make sure the ground hadn't been disturbed, that 6 feet of earth were still hiding the secret I'd buried 3 months ago. Diego Vargas wasn't dead. Not when I'd sealed him in that coffin. Not when I'd watched them lower it into the ground during the funeral attended by 300 people. Cartel members, politicians, businessmen, all crying crocodile tears for a man they'd feared more than loved. He'd been alive, drugged and paralyzed, but conscious, aware of every shovel of dirt that covered him. I'd made sure of that. Made sure he knew exactly what was happening and why. The explosion had been easy to stage. Diego's car, a convoy actually, traveling between properties. A carefully placed bomb, timed perfectly, leaving just enough remains that dental records could confirm identity, but not enough that anyone would look too closely. I'd paid the medical examiner, the funeral director, everyone who touched the body that wasn't actually Diego's body. Had paid them in cash from accounts Diego didn't know I knew about, and I'd buried my husband alive in a coffin equipped with just enough air to last maybe 6 hours if he didn't panic. If he did panic, and Diego always panicked when he wasn't in control, maybe 3. Either way, he was dead by the time mourners had finished their first drink at the wake. I'd become Camila Vargas, grieving widow, overnight wealthy from life insurance and inherited assets. What the cartel didn't know was that I'd also become Camila Vargas, silent owner of $40 million in offshore accounts Diego had hidden from everyone. Money he'd planned to use to disappear if things ever got too hot. Money that was now mine. I touched the headstone, cold marble under my fingers, and whispered, "I hope you suffered. I hope every second in that coffin felt like an eternity. I hope you finally understood what it felt like to be trapped." Then I walked back to my car where Mateo was waiting. Mateo Cruz had been Diego's second-in-command for 5 years. Loyal, efficient, deadly when he needed to be. He'd also been kind to me in small ways, opening doors, asking if I needed anything, standing between me and Diego's rage more than once without making it obvious. After Diego's death, Mateo had appointed himself my unofficial protector. Said it was what Diego would have wanted, that I needed security in uncertain times. What he didn't know was that I'd been in love with him for 2 years. Had watched him from across rooms at cartel gatherings. Had memorized the way he moved. Had dreamed about what it would feel like to be touched by hands that were gentle instead of cruel. Had planned Diego's death partly for freedom and partly for the impossible hope that someday, somehow, Mateo might see me as something other than his dead boss's widow. He stood when I approached the car, opened my door. "You okay?" "As okay as I can be." I got in. He closed the door, walked around, got in the driver's seat. We drove in silence for a while. 3 months since the funeral, and we'd settled into a routine. Mateo drove me places, checked my house, made sure I was safe. We had coffee sometimes, talked about neutral things, danced around the obvious tension building between us. Finally, he said, "Camila, I need to ask you something." My heart kicked. "Okay." "The other guys, they're getting restless. They want to know who's in charge now. They're looking at me to step up, but I wanted to ask you first." He glanced at me. "Diego left you everything. The businesses, the properties, the operations. You could run it if you wanted. You're smart enough, ruthless enough, I think." "You think I'm ruthless?" "I think you survived Diego for 6 years. That takes a kind of strength most people don't have." "Surviving isn't the same as leading." "Maybe not, but you have a choice. Let me run things and take a percentage, or step up yourself." He pulled over, turned to face me. "I'll support you either way, but you should know, if you take control, some of the men won't like it. You'll have to be harder than Diego. Prove yourself." I looked at him, at his dark eyes and the scar along his jaw from some fight years ago, at the way he was trying to be respectful while also being honest. What do you want, Mateo? I want you safe. I want the operation stable. And he stopped himself. And what? And I want to take you to dinner. Like a real dinner. Not business. Not protection duty. Just dinner. He looked almost nervous. Is that inappropriate? Tell me if it's inappropriate. It's been 3 months. I know, and if it's too soon, I understand. But Camila, I've been waiting 2 years to ask you this. I can wait longer if you need, but I had to at least try. 2 years, the same amount of time I'd been in love with him. I should have felt guilty. My husband barely cold in the ground, except he wasn't cold. He was bones and rot and exactly what he deserved. I should have said it was too soon, that I needed time. Instead, I said, tomorrow night, somewhere nice, somewhere Diego never took me. Mateo's smile was like sunrise. Tomorrow, I promise. That night, I lay in the bed I'd shared with Diego for 6 years and thought about Mateo, about the impossibility of what I was doing, falling for my dead husband's right-hand man while running a criminal empire I'd stolen and hiding the fact that I was a murderer. About how tangled everything had become and how I didn't regret a single choice. Diego had been a monster. Beat me regularly, called it discipline. Raped me, called it marital rights. Isolated me from family, friends, anyone who might help. For 6 years, I'd been his perfect wife in public and his punching bag in private. I'd learned to read his moods, to disappear when he was angry, to submit when he wanted power. And I'd learned to plan, to watch, to find his weaknesses, to discover his secrets, the offshore accounts, the corrupt officials on his payroll, the medical examiner who'd falsify records for the right price. To understand that the only way out was through his death, and that his death had to look real to everyone. It had taken 3 years of planning, 3 years of stealing money in small amounts, building my escape fund, making connections, learning the business well enough to run it if I needed to. And then the execution, the staged explosion, the fake body, the real Diego drugged and sealed in a coffin while I stood at his funeral crying tears of relief. I'd done the impossible. I'd escaped. I'd won. And now I was going to build the life I'd always wanted with a man who had no idea who I really was. Dinner with Mateo was at a small restaurant in the mountains outside Guadalajara, the kind of place that didn't ask questions and didn't gossip. We sat on the terrace under string lights, ate food that was simple and perfect, talked about everything except Diego and the cartel. Mateo told me about growing up in Sinaloa, about joining the military, about leaving when he realized the government was just as corrupt as the cartels, about meeting Diego and thinking he'd found purpose, only to slowly understand that Diego was cruel and paranoid and getting worse. I stayed because of you, he said over dessert. The last 2 years, I stayed because I was worried what he'd do to you if I left. He would have killed you for leaving. Probably, but I also couldn't leave you alone with him. He reached across the table, touched my hand. I saw the bruises, the way you flinched sometimes. I wanted to kill him myself. Why didn't you? Because he was my boss. Because I'd sworn loyalty. Because... He stopped. Because I'm a coward. I should have protected you better. You protected me enough. You kept me alive. I turned my hand over, let our fingers tangle. That matters. Does it? Because I feel like I failed you every day he hurt you and I did nothing. You did something. You saw me. You treated me like a person. That was more than anyone else did. I squeezed his hand. You're a good man, Mateo. Better than you think. I kill people for a living. For Diego, not for yourself. There's a difference. Is there? We were quiet for a moment, holding hands across the table while mariachi music played somewhere in the distance. Then Mateo said, I'm falling for you. Fast and probably stupid, but I can't help it. You're all I think about. That's dangerous, falling for your dead boss's widow. I know, but I've been in dangerous situations before. This one just happens to involve my heart instead of my life. He smiled, sad and hopeful. Tell me I'm not crazy. Tell me you feel something too. I should have lied. Should have protected him from the truth that I was a killer, that I'd murdered Diego, that everything he thought he knew about me was built on deception. Should have pushed him away before he got hurt. Instead, I said, I feel it too. Have for a long time. He came around the table, pulled me up, kissed me. Gentle at first, asking permission, then deeper when I kissed back. It was nothing like kissing Diego. No cruelty, no ownership, just want and tenderness and something that felt like possibility. We left the restaurant and drove to a hotel because I couldn't take him to the house I'd shared with Diego, couldn't make love to Mateo in the bed where Diego had hurt me. He understood without me explaining, got us a room, was careful and patient and attentive in ways that made me realize I'd never actually made love before. With Diego, it had been violence. With Mateo, it was something else entirely. After, lying tangled together, he said, I need to tell you something. I tensed. Okay. The guys, they're asking questions about Diego's death, about the explosion. They think it's strange that we never found who planted the bomb, that there's been no retaliation from rival cartels claiming credit. He propped himself up on one elbow. They're not saying Diego's alive, but they're wondering if someone inside set him up. My blood went cold. What do you think? I think Diego had a lot of enemies. I think it could have been anyone. He traced patterns on my shoulder. But I also think if it was someone internal, they had good reason. Diego was getting erratic, paranoid, dangerous even to his own people. And if you found out who did it, I don't know. Part of me would want justice. Part of me would want to shake their hand. He kissed my shoulder. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. And whoever did it, they're probably long gone by now anyway. I wanted to tell him, wanted to confess everything, but I couldn't risk it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. We fell into a routine over the next month. Mateo and I running the cartel together, him handling operations, me handling money and strategy. The men accepted it mostly, though I saw the way some of them looked at me. Doubt, resentment, waiting for me to fail. I didn't fail. I was smarter than Diego, more strategic, less prone to paranoia and violence. I built alliances instead of wars. Expanded operations into legitimate businesses. Made us more money in 6 weeks than Diego had made in 6 months. And I fell deeper for Mateo. We kept our relationship quiet at first, then gradually stopped hiding it. Started living together in a new house, one with no ghosts. Started building something that felt real and solid and possibly permanent. But I couldn't shake the guilt. Couldn't stop thinking about the lie between us, about Diego's grave and what I'd done, about the fact that Mateo loved someone he didn't really know. 3 months into our relationship, I was preparing to tell him everything, had rehearsed the words 100 times, was planning to confess over dinner, take whatever came next. Then my phone rang. Unknown number? I almost didn't answer. A voice I knew too well said, "Hello, wife." Everything stopped. My heart, my breath, the world. Diego? Surprised. You should be. You buried me alive, Camila. Do you have any idea what that's like? 6 hours in the dark, running out of air, clawing at the coffin lid until my fingers broke. But I didn't die. Someone heard me screaming, dug me up, took me to a hospital. Took 3 months to recover, but I'm back now. His voice was cold, controlled rage. And I'm coming for you, for everything you stole, and for that traitor Mateo who's been fucking my wife. The line went dead. I stood there shaking, the phone falling from my hand. He was alive. Diego was alive. The nightmare I'd escaped was coming back. Mateo found me like that, frozen in the kitchen. Camila, what's wrong? Diego. The word came out strangled. He's alive. He called me. He's coming. That's impossible. We buried him. We buried him alive. I buried him alive. The body at the funeral wasn't his. It was... I staged everything. The explosion, the death, all of it. I drugged him and sealed him in a coffin and watched them bury him. The words tumbled out. 3 months of lies finally breaking. I killed him. Except I didn't. Someone dug him up and now he's coming back and he knows about us and... Mateo grabbed my shoulders. Stop. Breathe. Tell me everything. From the beginning. So I did. Told him about the abuse, the planning, the execution, about the offshore accounts and the staged death, about burying Diego alive and thinking it was over, about falling for Mateo while hiding the truth that I was a murderer. When I finished, Mateo was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You should have told me." I know. I was going to. I was planning to tonight. But then, not about Diego being alive, about what he did to you, about needing help. I would have helped you, Camilla. We could have found another way. There was no other way. Diego didn't let people leave. Then I would have killed him myself, properly. He was pacing now, thinking. Okay, Diego's alive. He's coming. We have maybe hours, maybe days. We need to move. Get you somewhere safe. Call in reinforcements. Prepare for war. Mateo, I lied to you for 3 months. I murdered your boss, your friend. Diego wasn't my friend. He was a monster who beat his wife and ran his operation like a tyrant. And you didn't murder him. You defended yourself in the only way you could. He stopped pacing, looked at me. I'm angry you didn't trust me sooner. But I'm not angry about what you did. I'm angry you had to do it alone. You're not leaving. Why would I leave? Because things are complicated. Because we have to fight. I knew what I was signing up for when I fell for a cartel widow. He almost smiled. I just didn't know exactly how literal that would be. This isn't funny. No, but we're going to survive it. Together. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling everyone loyal to us. Everyone who'll stand against Diego. We fortify, we prepare, and when he comes, we finish what you started. Diego came 3 days later. We'd moved to a compound outside the city, brought in 30 men loyal to Mateo, armed ourselves for siege. I'd transferred the offshore money to new accounts Diego couldn't touch, had made sure that even if he killed me, he wouldn't get his empire back. The attack came at dawn. 20 men, heavily armed, hitting us from 2 sides. Mateo had anticipated it, had positioned our people well. The firefight lasted 30 minutes. Gunfire, explosions, chaos. We held them off, but barely. Then Diego himself appeared at the gates. Thinner than I remembered, his face scarred from whatever injuries he'd sustained underground, but unmistakably him. Alive. Furious. He had a megaphone. Camilla, come out, face me, or I kill everyone in there, including your lover. Mateo said, Don't. It's a trap. He won't stop. You know he won't stop. I touched his face. I have to end this. Then we end it together. We walked out together, me and Mateo, facing Diego across 20 yards of dusty ground. His men had guns trained on us. So did ours on them. Mexican standoff. Literal. Diego looked at me and something in his eyes was worse than rage. It was hurt. Betrayal. You buried me alive? Your own husband. You beat me for 6 years. Called it love. You're right. I buried you alive. And I'd do it again. And him. Diego gestured at Mateo. My most trusted man. Fucking my wife before the body was cold. Mateo said, The body was never cold because she didn't kill you properly. But I'm happy to fix that now. How noble. The soldier protecting his whore. Diego smiled, cold and sharp. Here's what's going to happen. Camila, you're coming back with me. We're going to have a long conversation about loyalty and consequences. And Mateo, I'm going to make you watch while I teach her lessons she should have learned years ago. Then I'll kill you. Slowly. Or, I said, I shoot you right now and end this. You don't have a gun. I pulled one from the back of my waistband. Don't I? Shoot me and my men kill everyone behind you. Shoot me and mine kill everyone behind you? Mateo had his gun out too. This ends one way, Diego. You dead. Properly this time. Diego looked between us, calculating. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. You think you've won. You think you're in control? But Camila, you stole my empire. Took everything I built. You really think I'm going to let you keep it? You don't have a choice, don't I? Because I've spent 3 months making calls, building alliances, and here's what everyone agrees on. They'll accept you as leader, or him. But not both. He smiled wider. So choose, Camila. Keep your lover or keep your empire. You can't have both. That's my offer. That's how this ends. One of you walks away in charge, the other walks away with nothing. Or you can refuse, and we all die here. Your call. I looked at Mateo. He looked back, and I saw him starting to speak, starting to say he'd walk away, that I should keep the power. I shot Diego. 3 times, center mass, professional, clean. He fell. His men raised their weapons, so did ours. For a moment, everything balanced on a knife's edge. Then Diego's lieutenant lowered his gun. She killed him. Fair fight. I'm out. He walked away. His men followed, one by one, until it was just bodies and blood and silence. Mateo said, "You chose. I chose us. I chose building something that doesn't require sacrificing each other." I lowered the gun. "The empire doesn't matter if I lose you getting it." "But you wanted this. The power, the control. I wanted freedom. I have that now. The rest, we'll figure it out together." I looked at him. "Unless you're walking away." "Are you kidding? You just shot your undead husband to protect us? I'm never walking away." He pulled me close. "We're going to have to run the cartel together now anyway. You just made that decision for both of us. Can you live with that? Sharing power, sharing everything." "With you, yes." He kissed me. "Besides, you're better at strategy and I'm better at operations. We're a good team. A team built on murder and lies. A team built on survival and love. I'll take it." We left that compound and everything changed. Took control of the cartel properly this time, me and Mateo together, equal partners. Built something that was less violent, more strategic, more successful. Some of the old guard left. New people came in who respected what we were building. And I finally had what I'd wanted. Freedom, power, love that wasn't twisted by cruelty. It cost blood and lies and living with what I'd done. But I'd buried my abuser twice and walked away both times. That was worth everything. 6 months later, we were in bed, Mateo reading while I went through financial reports, domestic and comfortable in a way I'd never been with Diego. He said, "Do you ever regret it? Killing him?" "Which time?" "Either." "No. Do you regret staying with me after you knew the truth?" "Not for a second." He set down his book. "We're terrible people, you know. Running a cartel, building an empire on illegal money, killing someone even if he deserved it." "I know. But we're happy, and that has to count for something." He pulled me close. "Right?" I thought about Diego in his grave, about the lie I'd lived as his wife, about the freedom I'd fought for and the love I'd found, about Mateo who'd stood by me even after learning the worst, about the empire we'd built together. "Yeah," I said, "it counts for something." We fell asleep like that, tangled together. 2 terrible people who'd found each other and refused to let go. It wasn't the life I'd imagined. It was better, harder, more real, built on truth finally instead of lies. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you enjoyed Camila and Mateo's journey from deception to dangerous love, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you thought. Did you see Diego's survival coming, or were you shocked when he called? I love hearing your reactions to these twisted power struggles and impossible choices. If you're new here, consider subscribing because I post stories like this every week, exploring dangerous romances where survival, revenge, and love collide in the darkest ways. Drop a comment with what kind of story you'd like to hear next. Maybe another cartel story with even higher stakes, or something completely different. Your suggestions help shape what I create. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.